As a qualified accountant, one of the most common questions I get asked a lot is, Tess, how do I get a graduate job in accountancy here in the UK? Or indeed, how do I get an internship job opportunity in accountancy or finance here in the UK? So we're going to be talking about that all in this video. A graduate job opportunity, particularly if you're looking to get into accountancy, can be extremely beneficial because not only are you going to be funded, by your employer to actually study for the qualifications. Sometimes this can be partially funded, sometimes this can be fully funded, by the way, but a little goes a long way in terms of the financial support that you're actually going to be able to get from your relevant employer. In most cases, also, you will also get the benefit of being able to network with a lot of like-minded professionals, and you'll also be able to develop a lot of skill sets along the way, because a lot of graduate schemes tend to be very well developed in terms of how they actually train you through the graduate scheme right up until you're qualified. So let's jump right into it. Tip number one is you want to make sure that you do your research. So before I actually got my graduate role years ago now, I did a lot of research, and some of the things that I did when I was doing my research was thinking about what my career goals were, what my career aspirations were. That included what sort of companies did I want to work for, what sort of niche do I want to go into. It's very important that you've taken the time to do your research to answer some of these questions for yourself. So what sort of companies do you want to work for? Do you want to work for the big four specifically, or are those the companies that you're particularly targeting? Do you want to go into just, industry? Perhaps there are a lot of accounting and finance graduate schemes within the industry. Or do you want to go into government sector, where you would have a lot of NHS finance graduate roles, for instance. A lot of people also target the civil service, who also have their own graduate schemes. So it's very important to be clear on what your career goals and aspirations are. Who are the companies that you want to be targeting? What industry are you looking to go into? And how does that look like within the next 5 to 10 years? So for instance, if you're looking to go into the big four, for instance, you might want to be thinking about, post-qualification, where do people who go into the big four tend to go from there? What sort of roles do they tend to go into? You can use LinkedIn as a good example, to research these things, but that will give you an idea of, do I see myself doing that kind of role in, 5, 6, 7 years after I'm qualified? Is this really the career path for me to take? So let's jump right into tip number two. Tip number two then is I would use a lot of career websites. Now, there are career websites that are specifically devoted to showing a lot of graduate job listings. So I don't have a video on that yet, but I'm happy to make a video on that. And if you comment graduate career down in the comment section, then I will know whether or not to make a video on that. But essentially, there are a lot of career websites out there that you can actually research and make sure that you're checking on a consistent basis what new job postings are available. Now, a lot of employers will typically advertise their graduate jobs, their graduate positions, not just on their own websites, but also on a lot of all these other career websites. Not just the generic career websites, but also there are specific career websites that are targeted to helping a lot of graduates get opportunities such as these. So if you're someone who is keen in trying to get a graduate job or an internship opportunity within an accountancy or finance role, then you definitely want to make sure that you are keeping on top of this. You're making sure that you're setting up email alerts, you're doing a lot of research as to, to check which particular position is open and when it is open. Very closely linked to this is tip number 3, which is in relation to timing and deadlines. Now, if you're new to this, I do want to let you know that if you're looking for graduate jobs or graduate internships specifically anyway, a lot of them tend to have, their deadlines. A lot of the time, they tend to open up these applications. Maybe they'll open them, kind of around maybe January, maybe between September and January most of the time, in anticipation that a lot of the new graduates will start working or will start doing those internships by the summertime, so around June, July. Okay, so but you do want to check based on the particular company you're applying to. So it's very important that you keep on top of which particular, job application is open and at what time and when the deadline is, because if you're not careful, you might actually miss the intake for that particular year. Okay, so it's not like when you're applying for a permanent job position and it's like maybe throughout the year. A lot of the time with graduate jobs, with graduate internships, they're quite specific with when the application's open, and once it's closed for that particular entry year. So it's very important to keep on top of the deadlines for all the different job placements or job applications that you're making for graduate positions. That leads me on to tip number 4. Now, tip number 4, I want to be really specific. Okay, tip number 4 is for you to do as much as you can to go to career fairs. Okay, career fairs, career events. If you're wondering what these are, career fairs basically gives you an opportunity for you to go to an event that, the employer of your choice or employers of your choice are going to be at. Okay, at those career fairs, you have the opportunity to speak to like-minded professionals. You have the opportunity for you to be able to ask questions specifically about what those companies are looking for in their application process. So let me give you an example. Okay, so when I was at university, I went to quite a few career fairs, both on my campus and, sometimes maybe in neighboring cities. But generally, they will, your university will tend to hold them or host them. And they're usually free to go to, okay? So you don't have to pay anything, in case you're wondering. So you'd go to these career fairs, take a copy of your CV if you can, ideally. Take a copy of your CV. If you're looking for a finance role, more than likely, it is that you are going to meet quite a few like-minded professionals at the career event. When you're there, take the opportunity to talk to them, okay? Talk to them, get information from them. What is it that you guys look for when we make applications to you? What sort of competencies are you looking for from your graduates? Oops, my phone fell. What sort of competencies are you looking for from your graduates? Okay, when I apply, this is my background. Do I seem like a decent enough candidate to apply for this? Can you share some tips with me? I think it's very important for me to highlight the importance of going to career fairs, career events, networking events. They're a brilliant opportunity for you to get to know more about the role, get to know more about what it is, the organization is looking for when people apply for that role, and then also speak to people who are also doing the role, okay? Next tip I'm going to give you is to make sure that you prep your CV and cover letter, okay? Guys, I can't state this enough. It's very, very important that your CV and cover letter is top notch, okay? Because when you're applying for a graduate job, essentially all of you are graduates, okay, in most cases. Now, if your CV and cover letter doesn't stand out, it's going to be very hard to actually sift through that competition, okay? So you need to make sure that when you're crafting your CV, when you're doing your cover letter to apply for these graduate roles, you make sure that it is tailored to the role that you are applying for. It is tailored to the organization that you're applying to. And the next step I have is for those who are international candidates, okay? So you might be someone who is here and you're currently studying. Maybe you're doing your master's or maybe even your bachelor's or your PhD, whichever it is. And you're looking to actually stay on, okay, with a company that offers visa sponsorship with the hope of actually getting your PR at the end of that. I think it's very important to highlight that it's not every single company out there that offers graduate finance accountancy jobs that will offer you visa sponsorship necessarily. I know definitely that a lot of the big organizations will definitely do it, okay? So like the big four, for instance, okay, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, etc., they will definitely do that. But when you're looking to actually cast your net and make much more widespread application, I would definitely recommend that before you apply to an organization, if you're not sure whether they offer that sponsorship or not, I would definitely make sure that you send them an email. Okay, so email their HR to double check, just so that you're not wasting your time actually putting those applications to them. I would also do as much as possible to actually use LinkedIn as a form of research. In most cases, some of the time, they will also advertise a lot of these jobs on LinkedIn. So if you're connecting with the relevant agencies using LinkedIn, you might be able to speak to them on a one-on-one basis, either through the LinkedIn platform directly, or you can, get their email and have further conversations with them to actually assess whether or not that company is going to be offering visa sponsorship, or if they're not going to be offering visa sponsorship. So those are some of my tips on how you can get an accountant graduate role, or indeed an internship role here in the UK within accountancy and finance. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please do make sure you give this video a big like. Make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. I will see you in my next video.